I have a question for David Cummings. I'm going to put him on the spot at the back of the room. Dave, when we were up in Concord not too long ago, you gave me statistics, and it's a lovely positive statistic, which is why I'm calling on you for it, if you can remember it. It was the amount of buyers that use the tax credit as their reason for buying.
Right, and the reason that question has come up, the question has come up from the media about when the tax credit goes away, how much will that impact sales? And of course, we don't know the answer to that specifically, but one sort of ray of good news as far as that goes is that although almost 50%, and I can't remember the exact date range that was in, I think it was for maybe the first half of 2009, 50% of the all buyers took advantage of the tax credit, but only under 10% of those were doing that for that exclusive reason. The only thing that drew them to the table in the first place was the tax credit. So that's comforting to know that it's not a huge sampling or a huge percentage that is in it for just that reason.
So while they're utilizing the tax credit, it wasn't their incentive to get into the market.
That's right.
They were buying to buy. Down front.
Both years, maybe you could address second homes, what your views are on second homes.
Well, the second home market.
The second home market clearly is depressed in large part, I think, to the fact that a significant lack in consumer confidence. One of the things that comes up, we have a large population of second homes, and we obviously have a lot of reasons why they're here in New Hampshire. But the one thing that I have identified over the years is there's some resistance to second homes in New Hampshire because of the property tax burden. And if you've seen the taxes on anything on the ocean or Winnipesaukee or Sunapee region, you realize that municipalities in large part receive a significant amount of revenue from the taxes on those, whereas you may be able to go to Vermont or Maine and find a similar property with a lesser property tax burden. There are, having sold a property in Maine that was a seasonal property, I can tell you, they get you on the other end though.
I have one thing. If you go to certain towns, they're very, very heavy on out-of-state owners. What we're not seeing is a lot of those being sold. So the ownership is staying. So that's maybe a reason a lot of them aren't selling new owners.
Without spending a lot of time on it, let me just say that most of the second homes on the Seacoast and around the lakes and so forth are purchased by people who have sufficient income and assets that the property tax is not that big a deal. Number two, if you're going to buy a second home, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont are first, second, and third in the nation in the location percentage of homes that are second homes. New Hampshire, Vermont actually has a policy of taxing second homes higher, a statewide policy on that, and we do not have that policy here in New Hampshire. So yes, some towns do assess them higher, but the kind of people who can purchase a second home are really not the people who are terribly concerned about where their next meal is coming from or unemployment rates or anything of the kind. That's why I think advertising in bigger markets where there are these people of substantial means is very important for those of you who sell second homes.
For instance, you can check that out by looking at the amount paid and the amount borrowed. You will find most of them have a lot of equity in it, and they protect it very well.
Peter, in your presentation you mentioned that statewide school enrollment is down across the whole state. And I was wondering, is there anything specific that seems to be causing that? Is the population of the state dropping, or are there other?
Yes. The population of the state is not dropping, but there has been significant out-migration from the state over the last 4 or 5 years. When I talk about out-migration from the state of New Hampshire, it's a little bit like other people, climatologists talking about global warming. There are global warming deniers, and then there are global warming believers. There's no question in my mind that thousands and thousands and thousands of young adults have moved out of the state over the last 8 or 9 years. Anybody who observes that can prove it. There are people, unfortunately, who think that that's simply not the case. But the statistics from the Census Bureau prove it quite conclusively. And so our median age has risen far, far faster than other states as a result. And so I think that when we talk about school enrollment dropping, the reason it's dropping is because these young adults have left the state and either taken their kids with them or the kids that they were going to have at some time in the near future. And so, and is that going to turn around? I don't think so. School enrollment is dropping and has been dropping in every single county in the state, everyone without exception. And yet, school budgets keep rising, school buildings keep getting built. Somebody is going to figure it out that we don't need all this infrastructure sooner or later. But it hasn't happened yet. So the illusion is that schools are still growing. They're not. They're not growing almost anywhere. And the idea of creating more school districts, as is talked about in Hampton, is foolishness to the max.
I have to apologize. I've not been texting across the room or tweeting as it may be. I just got a reminder from Barbara that says, in closing, let everyone know that we'll be sending out via email to everybody all the handouts. So I wasn't ignoring you. I saw it blink and I went, gee, I wonder what that is. And it's a text from Barbara at the back of the room to remind you all that the handouts will be available by email, hoping that our very efficient communications group can get those even maybe as a link on the website with the help of Ms. Iris. So if there are no other questions, I'm going to just thank you all for coming today. It's been a great morning, and thank our speakers.